If we get 200 likes on today's video, I'm going to steal the Easter basket that's currently on our Steelers host, Jack Sperry's desk, and give it to this Browns fan who lives on my floor. He's a kid. He's like 12, 13 years old, but I've seen him wear a Browns hat from time to time walking around the neighborhood. So let's get 200 likes, and Jack Sperry's going to walk into work tomorrow with no Easter basket. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Happy Easter, everyone. Matthew Peterson here with producer Marshall Green. We're getting ready for a Knicks watch party, so if you're ready for the Knicks-Cavs series, make sure to tune into Knicks Now and give them hell when the Cavaliers take on the Knicks in the NBA playoffs. Now, we're going to jump into the latest Cleveland Browns news and rumors on today's show. We're going to start with this. It's about signing DeAndre Hopkins potentially. So, should D-Hop or sign DeAndre Hopkins if the Arizona Cardinals cut him? I'm going to give it one Bernie head. Not from I would not want to see this happen, but more from the standpoint of I don't think it's very likely, right? I think it gets like 1.7 Bernie heads in terms of it actually ever potentially happening. So, let's kind of go through a timeline here, starting with this tweet from Dov, right? Update, NFL teams think that the Cardinals will release wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. The report mentions the Chiefs and Patriots as potential landing spots for him under certain conditions. So, that was on April 3rd. It is April 9th. So, 6 days ago, we got some buzz about the potential release of DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the rumor today comes from Mary Kay, who wrote an article, or did a mailbag rather, and someone asked, hey, could the Browns sign DeAndre Hopkins if he is released? Now, the Cardinals, like we just stated, are open to maybe cutting him if no trade offer comes in. So are the Browns still in the mix? I'm giving it one Bernie head for a lot of reasons, but I think the biggest reason of all is it's just not going to happen for a lot of reasons, but the one is they don't have the money, right? DeAndre Hopkins, unless he is destined to come to Cleveland for less than what he could get elsewhere, he's not going to be a Cleveland Brown. There's two big hiccups, in my opinion. The first one is the Browns have made a lot of moves at wide receiver. They traded for Elijah Moore. They signed Marquise Goodwin. Let's talk about those moves right there for a second, right? They got Elijah Moore on a rookie contract. They've got Donovan Peoples-Jones on the last year of his rookie contract. Yes, they are all in on right now, but I think they want to see those two wide receivers get their fair share of snaps and see if they are potential receivers down the road, because Amari Cooper is not going to be here forever. But DPJ and Elijah Moore, those are guys who could get another contract with the Browns, right? So why don't you want to see what you have in him? You bring D-Hop over. Are you a better team? For 2023, I think you are. But are you better in 2024 and 2025? That I'm not so sure about, okay? The second hiccup I have is Hopkins would have to take a pay cut, right? Meaning, if he hit the open market and his agent says, hey, DeAndre, the Patriots called, the Giants called, and the Browns called, and the Patriots and the Giants are offering you in the neighborhood of 12 to 13 million, the Browns can only offer you 7 million with a bunch of incentives. Which one do you think he's taking? He's going to take the Giants or Patriots offer over less money to come to Cleveland, although it would be fun for him to reunite with his old his old Houston Texans quarterback, Deshaun Watson, and same alma mater at Clemson. Now, the asking price for DeAndre Hopkins is a second-round pick, reportedly. At least that's what we first heard back in March again from Dov and from Albert Breer. Now, here's what Mary Kay said in her write-up. At this point, older veteran players such as Hopkins and Odell Beckham Jr. likely cost more, well into the double-digit millions, than the Browns are willing to pay. Again, if their price drops, anything can happen. Now, I do want to add, and I was talking about this with Brown Tiger, who wants to see all the Clemson players come to Cleveland. Someone is going to offer some pick for DeAndre Hopkins, right? Brandon Cooks went for a fifth and a sixth, a fourth and a fifth, something like that. 2 day 3 picks. I get it. DeAndre Hopkins has a big contract, and that is a hurdle for teams to get over. But we're not talking about a washed-up wide receiver, are we? DeAndre Hopkins is not washed up, okay? He missed 6 games last season due to a suspension, and when he came back, him and Kyler Murray hit the ground running. And then when Kyler Murray got hurt, things went to the wayside. But before that, in 2021, 2022 rather, 2021, he battled through some injuries in the middle of the season. But DeAndre Hopkins is still a top-tier wideout in my opinion. Now, the pre-June 1st trade details looks like this. Base salary this season, that's what a team would be picking up if they traded for him, is $19 million. Now, I promise you, if DeAndre Hopkins gets traded, it's not a 99% chance. It is a 100% chance that whichever team trades for DeAndre Hopkins will not pay him $19.4 million. The Cardinals will pay a chunk of that to facilitate a trade, okay? The dead cap hit for Arizona is 22. That's fine. They don't really care. They're in the midst of kind of a retool, not quite a rebuild, since you do have a quarterback already. The cap savings is $8.1 million, albeit no big deal. So the base salary, he's got 2 years left on his contract for 2024, is like 14-ish million. So a team would have to pay him upwards of $10 million, and maybe they don't think he is that same DeAndre Hopkins, and they'd rather see that money go elsewhere. But come on, it's DeAndre Hopkins. Someone's going to make an offer for a fourth-round pick, and the Cardinals will realize they were never going to get a second-rounder for him. Let's at least get something for the guy before we just outright release him. So chime in for me. Would you sign D-Hop if he is cut, right? If you get the notification that the Arizona Cardinals are releasing DeAndre Hopkins, do you want Andrew Berry to pick up the phone, call Hopkins' agent, and say, what will it cost to get him to the land? Let me know in the comment section below. I got a couple takes here, right? PD's take time. First, it's highly unlikely. I think that needs to get out in the open, and if it wasn't clear already, I'm making it clear right now. DeAndre Hopkins coming to the Browns is a major long shot, right? They have made some moves at the wide receiver position. I like the moves they have made, and I believe they like the moves they have made. But we can't all agree. If for whatever reason Andrew Berry decides the world is ending because I saw this report about a black hole eating the whole world up, and 2023 is the last season of the National Football League, yeah, D-Hop coming to the Browns would be awesome. Adding him to this wide receiver room, how could you not be a fan of that potential? But Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, and Marquise Goodwin is a very good wide receiver room in the NFL. Like, think about the juggernauts in the AFC for a moment. Would the Chiefs rather have their current receiving core or this one? I'm going to go with this one. Bills, they got Stephon Diggs, but that's kind of a long fall after that. The Bengals, I'm taking the Bengals still. They've got two wide receiver ones. But Cooper, DPJ, and ascending more and a good veteran in Goodwin, that's not a bad wide receiver room right there. In fact, when you look at their career stats, I mean, this is not an unproven room, right? You got the NFL vet in Amari Cooper. You got the speedster in Goodwin, who I know I was a little down on early on, and I'm still not all the way there, but he is good for like 2 to 3 takeover games where he goes off for 140 yards and a touchdown or two. Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's going to get a contract extension. He is nearly a 1,000-yard receiver as a wide receiver too. And Elijah Moore, like I said, was shadow banned by an offensive coordinator who got fired for doing so. So I love what the Browns are growing and building in this wide receiver room here. Now, speaking of this wide receiver room and just the Browns in general, if you want the Browns to win in 2023, sub 4 dubs. And here's why I want you to do this. Not because of the YouTube cliche BS of growing the channel. Like, that's important at all. But in all actuality, I want this team to be successful in 2023. So if you do too, and you're tired of being the doormat of the AFC North, don't jinx it right now. Do everything in your power, at least as a fan, in the dog days of the offseason, before the draft, and after free agency, to subscribe to some random Cleveland Browns YouTube channel. And that way, when we're talking Browns recaps after winning the first 3 games of the season, you can come back here and go, you know what? I might not have caught that touchdown pass, but at least I subscribed and did my part for this football team. At least that's the long way I have of looking at it. Now, we have some news to get to here on the back half of today's show. Deshaun Watson is set to be deposed on April 10th, which is tomorrow, actually, in his 26th lawsuit for sexual misconduct. Now, this lawsuit is new-ish. I think it kind of depends on how you define the word new, right? It was filed back in October of 2022, so it's newer than the previous ones, but it's not like it's brand new and it just popped up 2 days ago. Now, Watson's legal team, by the way, with his lawyer, Rusty Hardin, has already filed a motion for sanctions against the opposing law firm, which is not the same as Tony Busby, if I remember correctly, but someone can fact check me on that. So we have already Watson denying these allegations and more than just trying to push back on them, but he is filing a motion to have them sanctioned against, which is probably not going to go through since it's April 9th, it's Easter Sunday, and I doubt a judge is going to do much less than 24 hours before the deposition. Now, an important note for everyone to maybe not have your heart jump through your esophagus here. Watson's suspension, the NFL handed down the 11 games and the fines and all that stuff, covered all previous lawsuits and any future potential similar lawsuits in the nature of the previous one. So it basically covered any potential like this where, hey, the NFL suspended Deshaun Watson. If someone the very next day filed a lawsuit that was similar to the previous 24, 25, whatever it was, they don't restart this whole process over again and hit them with a brand new suspension for that new lawsuit. It encompassed and included all potential future lawsuits similar in nature, which this one definitely meets the criteria of. So we've got more takeaways and some quotes to look at in just a brief moment. But the NFL draft is, 3 weeks away at this point? It's Sunday, April 9th, so a little less than 3 weeks if I'm doing my math correctly, Marshall. So make sure you don't miss out on any of the awesome Browns draft hats when you get the official one from our link, chatsports.com/Browns hat. It's in the comments and the description of today's video. Now, our good friend Mike Florio, who remembers talking about this guy all summer long? Well, he wrote about this because this is his favorite subject, and he said, assuming the filing of the first lawsuit on March 17th, 2021, prompted Watson to terminate his habit of seeking massages from strangers on social media, the statute of limitations on additional lawsuits has expired. So if you're looking for things that mean Deshaun Watson's going to play in 2023 and this will not be a suspension, this is a good thing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have never held very strong opinions on this subject because it's an absolute minefield to try and talk and walk through, right? You're going to upset someone, and that's the nature of trading for a quarterback who has some skeletons in his closet. And some people hate the Browns. I'm going to say we're talking about the Cleveland Browns here. It's a franchise that has never gotten the quarterback position down since '99. So if it means paying someone $230 million who has a questionable past, potentially, yeah, I'm not going to, lose a lot of sleep over the Browns doing what they had to do to try and finally get a franchise quarterback. Is it a good thing what's happened with Deshaun Watson? No, of course not. No one's going to stand here and argue that for you. But we are talking about the National Football League. We're talking about football. Football is the cure for everything. No matter what you have done in your life, if you're good at football, that will be forgotten. That's just the makeup of the country. I'm not the one inventing this, okay? I am just simply stating the quiet part out loud. This is how the United States of America operates. The Constitution and being good at football absolves you of all wrongdoings. Am I wrong? No. So with that being said, it is Easter Sunday. What is the most underrated holiday? I like Easter Sunday because of the Easter brunch element. I'm trying to think. Marshall, you want to take your mic off for a second or put your mic on? Underrated holiday? 4th of July is always up there for me. I don't know if it fits underrated. It's no Flag Day, but underrated holiday?
I like 4th of July. You get the pie element from Thanksgiving.
That's good.
Fireworks are cool.
Uh-huh.
Easter's cool as a kid because the Easter egg hunt in the yard when you wake up.
Uh-huh.
I think 4th of July is a little underrated.
4th of July is definitely up there. Okay, so let me know your most underrated holiday down in the comment section. Before we get on out of here and we get over to a Knicks watch party with Marshall Green, make sure to tune in. Twitter share, so shout out to Radio Raheem. I'm so sorry I missed you in my last roundup, but Radio Raheem, you are an official member of the Dog Pound here at the channel. Thank you so much. Joey Powell, Joshua Miller, the Brownsist, and Tim Majkin. Thank you all for sharing our videos on Twitter, helping grow the channel and getting more eyeballs on it. Hit me up on Twitter at MatthewPD. Always talking Brownies, talking NFL over there.